Okay, we're going to swap out the standard thumb screw hardware for this click-clack hardware. So this is the clicky-clicky stuff. So the first step in that is just unlatch the window. And then I'm going to just use if you have an assistant, you can just have an assistant hold the window open. But I'm going to use a piece of wood. I'll put it over here so it's not in the video. I'm just going to prop it up with a scrap piece of wood. There we go. And so you take off the screws that are holding the foot, the stay foot to the wall. So there's 2 screws there. Now he's loose. And then I'm going to remove the 2 screws that hold the latch to the window pane. And you do have to be careful with this because there's a plate between the window panes. And you don't want to knock it loose when you're taking this off. So the first one, no problem. You can take it out. You want to save your screws too. The second one, you got to be a little careful because if you push with the screw gun or, dislodge that plate on the back, which you'll be able to see better when it's off. So I'm going to carefully remove it. And what you can see is there's these 2 little stubs sticking out. That's connected, that's part of the plate that's on the back, and then there's this little pad here, which is just a buffer pad. There is adhesive that holds the plate between the panes, but if I hit this one, or if I was pressing on it too hard with a screw gun, or maybe the window's vertical, you could knock this loose. So the window is up pretty high, so gravity is going to help hold that in place. And if you knock that loose, it is possible to reset it, but it is not an easy chore. So I have the new stay on it, and there's lefts and rights. So you want to make sure you grab the right one, or you have to take it back off. And so I'm going to be very careful putting this first screw in, because again, I don't want to dislodge it. So I'm going to hold it here and just very carefully start threading that screw onto it. So he's snugged up now. The other screw, which, again, we want to keep them when we take them out because the new set doesn't come with screws. It's a common screw, though, if you need to buy one locally. Okay, so the new one's on. I'm going to extend this out. Now, there's a bunch of different configurations. We don't really know, exactly where the foot's placed when the OEM installs the window. And you can see here that the foot that we took off we have 2 sets of holes because we already tested this, but the lower set of holes was a little tight. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that before I screw this in. I can take my stick out that I had. So this is it with the window shut. And with it pushed down all the way, those holes didn't quite line up. So if I pull this out, you're going to see that we actually raised it up a bit. And the reason for that is that if we reuse the exact same holes, this would have been down here. And then the window's not shut all the way, it's bottoming out. So then we raised it up just slightly. And you don't want to raise it up too much because what's going to happen is going to put way too much pressure on it. So you want it, without having pressure on there, so it's just tiny bit. So about right there, about a 1/16 of an inch gap in there. And that's where we placed those new holes. So let's see. I'm going to put this new foot on. I took my fancy stick out. And you just... oh boy. Yeah. Okay, so we have our new holes there. and then the other one, I'm going to try to retrieve it with my magnet. Woohoo! Worked. And then the second hole. And, jeez, I just dropped on the ground. Weak magnet. There we go, that's it. So now the way these operate is as you push it open, you can hear that click. And it stays at every click, it can hold this open. Now, and when, so the ones that have the thumb lock, you can secure those down. Let's say that it gets kind of breezy out, it's not going to lift it and slam it shut like that. So these, in high wind conditions, you do have to be a little more careful, because let's say that it gets breezy and you have these open, the breeze catches it, lifts it a little bit, and then it slams down. It can end up damaging the window if it hits hard enough and stuff like that. So in the wind, these are a little more touchy. One option that people do is they put one click on one end and one knob on the other end, so you can lock it. So I can click or lock, so now it's fixed. The wind's not really going to affect it. The thing with putting one screw down and one clicker is, depending on the size of the window, it can have a lot of pressure on it. You have to make sure that you're not just supporting a large window with just one side. You'd have to always tighten down the other side. So that would, just be a habit or practice you'd have to get into. But there we go. We swapped it out. So that's a combo. That's a hybrid. It's got one clicker and one knob. And that works for some people, and everybody has their preference. End of story.